All right, gameplay with the Lewis on Monaco. So I've been talking a lot of shit about the Lewis gun in this new season, and I still think mostly rightfully so. But this is a pretty good game I got with it. Some of the teams did get disbanded a bit in this game, so it was a little weird because of that. But I don't really care. It was a good enough game, and I think for a couple of the teams it was like pretty late. So. You can only have so many like really good gameplays with the new Lewis guns. So you get one, you gotta throw it up. I have another really good one with the SA-12 that I want to throw up as well. So I think that one's on Monaco too. So to expect that one next. And yeah, I want to do some more light and medium gameplays and show off some more of the options with those two classes. But I have almost exclusively been playing heavy the last 2 days. I'm not kidding. My last like 50 tournaments, I've probably played heavy like 46 times and medium twice, light twice. I'm not exaggerating at all. For whatever reason, the solo queues, that's just the way they're working out. I'm just always on heavy, and rarely do I have an opportunity to go medium or light, depending on what my teammates want to play. So that's just the way it's been recently, so I just have a lot of heavy gameplays stacked up. Yeah, so I hope you guys like the heavy gameplays. That being said, I'm going to try to mess around with them. I'm going to try to mix it up and do some different stuff with them. Like, for example, my teammate Heavy here is using the goo gun. I do want to use the goo gun a bit more because, I don't know, I think it's really interesting. It's a very niche specialization, but I think it's really creative, and the stuff that you can do with the goo gun's like really cool. The different plays you can make with it, like for example, using it to get you up to height. I think that's pretty cool. It's kind of funny being able to do that on heavy and being able to pull plays off with the goo gun like that. I think it's really funny. And then obviously like the blocking you can do, shooting it at players, stuff like that. I don't know. I think it's really creative. I think it's really fun. So I want to try to use that more. I want to try to use charge and slam because I haven't used it like at all this season. And just try to get away from the hook because I'm still enjoying the hook and I still like the hook a lot, but I just want to mix it up. I did use the mesh shield a little bit today, not using it in this particular gameplay, but I did use it a little bit. That was pretty fun. It had been so long since using it that I was actually like enjoying it, so that was pretty good time. I notice I think it's like a pretty good spec to have on heavy when you're playing solo in particular as well. I think it's pretty good. But yeah, so I'll try to mix things up with the weapons and the specs. Probably not the equipment too much because RPG, C4, barricade, dome. It's just like hard to get away from, and the other stuff that you have access to just isn't really exciting. But if I'm gonna keep playing heavy a ton, I'll try to mix it up, keep things interesting for the gameplays. There's other stuff I want to talk about with heavy, but before I get to it, I should get back to the main point of this video, which is the Lewis gun. So I've used the Lewis a lot in the past 2 days with how much heavy I've been playing, and my opinion on it has evolved a bit, but not too much. So like going back to the tier list, I do think that it should be rated in front of the slug shoddy probably. My rating of the slug shoddy's gone down a bit in the last few days. My rating of the Lewis has gone up a bit. I just think the slug shoddy, I have a lot of fun with it, and I do think the utility on it's really nice, and I do really like using it on suspended structures still. But I just think the inconsistency with it is a little frustrating. And then also there's a really particular issue that I have with it, which is when you're moving, when you're strafing, it makes your accuracy worse. So like when you're strafing while ADS'd with any other like normal weapon, like with the FCAR, like yeah, it's gonna move your center, your aim like a little bit, but it's not gonna it's not gonna make your spread worse. Like your bullets are still gonna go to the center dot, like they're still gonna go there when you're strafing. That's not necessarily the case with the KS-23. When you're strafing with it, you can see and I still don't even think that the ADS on it's like completely accurate when you're like not strafing, when you're standing still. I'm not 100% sure on that. It might be like close, but I still think there's even a little bit of spread on it then. But when you're strafing, it adds like a pretty decent amount of spread, and that's really frustrating because it feels like you have to like jumping makes it worse, strafing makes it worse. So basically the only way to use movement to your advantage with the KS-23 is you have to be in people's faces. And at that point, you might as well just use the SA-12, like you might as well just use it at that point. So it just makes the weapon kind of frustrating to use. And it just sucks that I feel like I can't strafe at range with the KS-23 without just ruining my accuracy. And then also, I find that I strafe when I don't necessarily want to be strafing a lot because of my controller drift. I do have my dead zones turned pretty low, but I don't want to turn them too much higher because, like, you want it to be responsive. So I do have, like, a little bit of drift at times on my movement stick. And, you know, I find that in most gunfights with, like, normal guns, moving that little bit of strafe is actually, like, a good thing. That's, you know, not intended. It's actually a good thing. But with the KS-23, it's bad because it makes the spread worse. So that's just something that I found with that gun that I've been kind of frustrated with. So yeah, basically, my tier list ratings, KS-23 has gone down a little bit. Lewis has went up a little bit. I don't know if it'd go up a tier entirely, but at least, like, I just think it's a little bit better than I thought it was before. What was the other? Oh, the flamethrower. I was going to say, I got to get a video on the flamethrower. I actually think the flamethrower, I underrated the hell out of it. It should not be D tier. That thing is actually pretty good. And especially, like, you got to factor in the ease of use. With weapons as well. And the flamethrower is just, like, pretty freaking easy to use. And that's an advantage. That's a pro. Like, you can't look at it any other way. Like, that's definitely a good thing about it. And the few games that I had trying the flamethrower, I actually had a lot of fun with it, and I actually had a lot of success with it. So I'm gonna have to try to do a gameplay with the flamethrower as well. I think that thing's pretty underrated, and is I don't know, just like burning the house down. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. So yeah, that's about all I have to say on the Lewis and just like all these different heavy weapons I just mentioned. The SA-12 definitely stays S tier though, for sure. Like that one was just right on the money. That thing's incredible. If anything, using all the other heavy weapons has made me like lean even more towards the SA. Like I still think that thing's just incredible. But yeah, so the Lewis gun, I've gotten used to the recoil on it a lot, and I think that's what has made me rate it a little bit higher now that I've finally gotten used to the recoil. That being said, I do think they should either like keep the recoil the way it is and raise the damage again, or keep the damage the way it is and lower the recoil. I think they should do one of those things. Like, this gun definitely is still not in a good spot, but now that I've gotten used to the recoil, I do think it's better than I initially rated it, and I am starting to have success with it again. And I think it's a good option to have. Like, if you have, for example, I have you know, my heavy, I don't recall, and I haven't been, you know, super paying attention to the gameplay here. I got the motocross race up on the side. I'll admit it. But I think my heavy was using, like, I want to say he was a melee heavy. He's using goo guns, so I want to say he was a melee heavy. If you have a melee heavy, or just like SA-12, just like a close range heavy, and you're running double heavy, I still think it makes sense. Like, you should have like a Lewis or an M60. I don't think the M60 is a good idea right now, so basically use the Lewis. I still think having a ranged option on the second heavy is a good idea, so that's another thing too. Another thing to factor in there. Like, if you're the second heavy, I think it just makes sense. So yeah, the Lewis still has some use, and it's still like a relatively good choice. I'm just still not 100% happy with the balance of it. To end off this video, because I you know, talked about everything I wanted to talk about pretty much. Curious what everyone's feeling on the season at this point, because for me, I'm finally starting to hit the point where it's like, okay, you know, I'm still gonna play. Like, I'm still gonna play a couple hours, couple tourneys a day, probably, but not like hard grinding like I have been. I say that, and I'll probably like clock in like 6 hours a day. I don't know, we'll see. But I gotta say, like, this season's been holding my attention pretty well compared to last season. Like, most of these games, most of these shooters, when they do the new seasons and stuff like that, I would say for me, it's usually about like, usually lasts like about a week, if that, where, you know, I'll be grinding a lot and then I'll start to go to like something else, start to play something else. But this season of the finals has actually been holding my attention pretty well, and it's been over 2 weeks. It's been over 2 weeks, and I'm still like enjoying it, and I'm just now starting to get to the point where it's like, okay, I can dial it back a little bit, but like I'm still having fun playing, and I still, even if it's not as much, I still want to play every day. I'm curious what everybody else thinks on that. I'm sure if some people are, you know, focused more on like the ranked terminal attack side of things, they're probably not as inspired to keep grinding at this point, and I would say fair enough. But as somebody that's like completely like sworn that off and has just not cared about terminal attack, at this point I'm still having a lot of fun, and you know, it's been I mean, I think this is some of the most fun that I've had in the game. Don't get me wrong, there's still some balanced things that are stupid, there's still some bugs that are stupid, and I still wish that there was like World Tour and ranked cash out instead of just one of them. But overall, I'm still having a lot of fun. Still having a lot of fun this season. Still think the game's in a really good state. And man, I hope they do something about ranked TA. I hope they don't wait the whole season, because like the viewership wise, like considering the ranked TA bullshit, like viewership wise and like the way the player base is like it's been looking pretty good. Like I think it's been pretty good on like the cash out side of things this season. I think people have been, you know, playing the game and having fun with it. And I think this season would do really, really, really well if it just had the ranked cash out. Like I think it would do really well. I think it'd be really successful, and I hope that the devs don't stick out the whole season with it. It kind of seems like they're going to, but I hope they don't. Anyways, probably talk more about that in the next gameplay. That was it for that one. Really good round with the Lewis gun here on Monaco, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, see you guys in the next one. Gonna be using the SA-12. So see you there.